Hi folks, Jason here. In this video, we're going to be following on from our first video where we rigged this character through the entire body. Next, we're going to rig the face. So without further ado, let's get to it. So I'm going to start by just changing these controllers back to their original state. So I'm just going to take this window here and we'll just change that back. I'm just going to essentially change the neck and also the head, just so I can start creating some bones. You don't need to worry about any of the other controllers at all. We're just going to be working on the head. Right, so by going to edit and selecting that ball joint there, I'm going to go E and Y and bring that out to, say, around about there. So that's going to form our jaw. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this jaw. All right, and next what we're going to do is we're going to create some bones, one to control the eye, one to control the eyelid, and the other one to the eyebrow, and then we're going to symmetrize them over to either side. So I'm going to go Shift and D, bring that over, and I'm going to rotate this like so. I'm going to scale it down as well. Something like that. And now what we need to do is we need to basically position this in the middle of the eye. And this is where it helps to go into the wireframe mode. So I'm going to go into the wireframe mode. So essentially, we just need to put it, you can see there, it's pretty much in the middle there that you can see in the sphere. And now we're going to go and take a look at the front view. Just need to make sure that that is central. That's kind of looking okay from the looks of it. I'm just going to go and check. And I think that is pretty much all right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the regular view. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this bone. So we've got our eye controller here. I'm going to use this bone to create a controller for the eyelid and create another one or duplicate it for the eyebrow. So I'm going to press Shift and D and right click, move that up. Shift and D, right click, and then move that up as well, like so. I'm going to click on the one for the eyelid. I'm going to press F2. I'm going to go eyelid control .L, and then the eyebrow, F2, eyebrow control .L. And again, I'm just going to go and check the position of these. That's generally looking all right. And then we're going to copy them over. So I'm going to make sure that they're all selected. Go through to armature and symmetrize. So again, it's going to have a look at the front view. The most important one is the eye, to be honest. So let's go and have a look in the wireframe mode. So that needs kind of shifting over a wee bit. Oops. Let's just shift that entire thing over. And then go and have a look at the side view. Now, by rights, that should match up with the other bone you can see there. And apart from that, I think we're in good shape. Excellent. So we've got the jaw done, and we've got the controller for the eye done, and the eyelid. The only thing that we need to do, we're going to use these as controllers, or we'll convert them into controllers. However, we need to do a few more things. I'm going to create some controllers for these eyes using a bone constraint called dampen track. And then also we're going to have a controller for both eyes and then a controller for the rest of the controllers. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one of these bones, Shift D, right click, and then move that forward to say there, something like that. And then I'm going to do the same with, in fact, let's go into the wireframe mode. I'm going to do the same thing with that one. I'm going to go Shift and D, right click and move that over. like so. So I've got both of those there. And then we need a controller for both eyes. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go Shift and D, right click, bring that to there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that into the middle. So we just go into the orthographic view, just make sure we can kind of get it pretty much in the middle. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like, horizontal. We could actually rotate it just so we're not going too far out to there. So that's going to be the controller for both of these eyes. And then we're going to have a controller for all of the controllers. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to go Shift D and then move that out to there. All right. So there we are. So we've got that set up. I'm just going to name these, of course. I'm going to call this, so we'll call this, so what will we call the other one? We'll call that one is the eye control. So we could call this the, what do we call it? Should we call it, I don't know, eye point dot L, and call the other one eye point dot R. I'm going to call this both eyes, and I'm going to call this, we'll just call it face rig. There we are. So we're all kind of set up now. So we're ready for the next part of the video where we'll be going into the weight painting. Okay, so now we're going to get into doing some weight painting. So the first thing we'll need to do is we're going to go back into object mode. And what I'm going to do here is from there, with the armature selected, shift and select the mesh. Then we're going to go from object mode into weight painting mode. Now, if we just zoom in now and say, go and select one of these bones, go and say, select the head bone, press Alt and select that, you'll see that the entire head is red. That's not what we want, because basically we want to be able to make the eyes independent, the eyelids, the eyebrows, and the jaw. And at present, they're all reading as, well, as nothing. So what we're going to do is now we're going to sort of work our way around the bones, isolate the areas, and disconnect this bone or the influence of this bone from the rest of the geometry. So we'll start with the jaw. I'm going to select the jaw there. So in order to kind of access it, though, you can see there we've got, the top of the head and there's the eyes, and they may get in the way. So in order to kind of get around that, we're going to go into edit mode, and I'm going to hide these. So I'm going to press L and H, and then basically work my way around and just hide all the parts that are no longer need for the time being, H. And even that neck as well, I'm going to take that out of the way because that could get selected. So I'm just pressing L, all the little bits in between, like so. I think that's looking okay. And then press H. So it should really have like a clear run now of the jaw. Okay, that's great. So now we're going to go back into weight painting mode. And with the jaw selected, I'm going to press F and just take the size of that brush down a little bit. Make sure that the strength is turned up. And essentially, we're going to color this in. So we need this, the entire jaw, and even these parts at the side to be completely red. So it can be controlled by the bone. Okay, so I'm just going to work my way around like so. And then work around to the side there. Make sure you don't select the body. So it's still easy to kind of just paint over other parts of the geometry. So you just want to make sure that we're very careful. Doesn't matter about the bones because we've got this bone selected here. It's just the rest of the geometry that we need to be mindful of. All right, and then just got this part underneath here. I think we've pretty much got it all. I think there's a little bit underneath with the teeth, but I think that's good to go. So now, if I move this, so say go into the side view, you'll see that it's moving. However, we still have a bit of an issue. If I just go back now, if I go and click on the head bone, you can still see that this is red. We don't want to influence it at all. So this time around, I'm going to go Control and brush. I'm going to take away that influence from that. So we're taking it away from there and we're putting it to the jaw. And this way, it just ensures that there's no influence at all coming from any other bone apart from the jawbone. All right. Almost done. And I think that is about there. Right. So now if I go Alt and click back on that jaw, that is as it should be. So I can just go and like rotate that, and that's all great. All right. So now what we're going to do is going to go back into the edit mode. I'm going to press Alt and H, and we're going to work our way around. So we've done the jaw. Let's now start, say, with perhaps the trickiest parts of this, which are the eyeballs. So I'm going to click off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do both eyes, but I'm just going to take away or hide all of the elements that I don't need, even these parts. So even like, underneath here. So press L, and also above on the eyelids there, and even the eyebrows. Let's take those away. There we go. Jaw should be all right, but perhaps just to be on the safe side, we'll just take all of these out of the equation. I think that's everything there. And then press H. Right, so now we've got a clear run. I'm going to go back now to weight painting mode. And let's zoom in, and let's start with the left eye. And so I'm going to paint this in like so. So just like before with the jaw, what we're going to do is we're going to paint into this, and then afterwards we're going to select the head bone and deselect the weights from that side as well. Okay. Bit on there, and I think that's almost done. Okay. And then I'm going to select the head, and I'm going to take that away. So we'll just do it one at a time. All right. I think that's just about got it. I think that's okay now. And then I'm going to go now to the, in fact, whilst we're here, I'll do the the right eyeball as well. So I'll just go on there. All right. And then I'm going to work my way back. So now I'm going to go to the bone controller for that eye and then color that in. So I'm just take the size of that brush down a bit, zoom in, and we're just going to paint in like so. And again, just be mindful that you're not painting onto any part of the body, and also that you're not painting into the other eye as well. All right. I think that is almost there. I think that's there. Okay, cool. So we've done the eyes. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to sort of move sideways now. We're going to have a look at the bone constraints. So what we're going to do here is, from here, we're going to basically connect up these in what's called a damped track to essentially make these so these can be controlled. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to now go back into object mode. and I'm going to go into pose mode, and essentially we'll start with the one that we're on, so the right eye. So with that selected, you'll see now we've got a new tab called Bone Constraints. I'm going to go on that, and then I go to the tab here that says Add Bone Constraint, and what we're going to add is a damped track, like so. Okay, and the target is going to be this bone here. So I'm going to click on that once. That's just selecting the armature, and then click on it again, and then you'll see it just slightly move there. That means it's locked into that bone now. So now if I actually go through, let's say I go and select that bone now and hit G, you'll see it starts to control the eye, which is exactly what we want to see. And I'm going to move now to the left eye and do the same again. So with the left eye selected, I'm going to go and, or the bone for the left eye, damp track, target, and then click on that bone once. That selects the armature, and click on it again, and you'll see that it locks into it. So now if I move this by hitting G, oops, wrong one. Let's select that. Hitting G, you'll see it start to move. There we go. Right. Now, let's get back to the weight painting. So I'm going to go back to object mode and go and shift and select the head, and then go back into weight painting. And what we're going to do is go to edit mode and press Alt and H. We'll bring the rest of it back. So we've done the jaw, we've done the eyes, we've done the damp track for the eyes, and then we're sipping back into the weight painting. And this time we're going to concentrate on the eyelids. Now the bottom ones are going to stay where they are. It's the top ones and also the eyebrows that we're going to be working on. So let us go and hide. Let's go and hide the head. And we'll go L and hide that part of the head there. And we're going to hide the lower part, so the eyeballs and also the lower eyelids. So I'm going to go L, and again, H to hide. That's pretty much good. I might just take the eyebrows out as well, just so they don't get in the way. I think that's good. All right, back into weight painting mode. And this time round, I'm going to go and select that bone there. So I'm going to paint this red. So let's go and paint into that. So we've got that isolated. But remember, we're going to have to go back to the head bone to deselect any weights that are currently on there. But that's fine. And just paint that out like so. And then it's actually like cupped underneath. So if we just sort of zoom in, you can see there, there's a bit underneath that we need to take out. Like so. Just so it's totally red. Take the size of that brush up a little bit. Right, okay, cool. Now, like before, I'm going to go and select that head bone. Alt and click on that. Now I need that, obviously, to be blue. So I'm going to go Control and just take all of that out now, just so it's completely independent from the head or the influence of the head. Right. I've done there, and then just the underneath. Okay. Excellent. And whilst I'm here, just like with the eye, I'm going to just take that down. I'm also going to take away the influence there, like so, with the head selected. All right, there we go. And then I'm going to just take the size of that brush down, Alt and click on that bone, and now we're going to color that in red. Excellent. All right. So we're in good shape. I'm just going to take the size of that brush down. Right. So we've got both of those eyelids done. And now I'm going to go back into the edit mode. Alt H to bring everything back. And so now we've got that covered. And the remaining geometry now is the eyebrows. So what I'm going to do is going to click off and now work my way around all of these parts, the eyelids, and press H to hide. Oh, the one that got away. H to hide that, and also L and H to hide that. And then we're going to go back to weight painting mode and click by going to Alt and click on the one for the eyebrow. Let's take the size of that brush down. And we're going to color that in like so. Oh, I can see that I've accidentally just done that. So I'm going to color that in. And just like before, I'm going to go Alt, click on the head bone. So we need to take the influence of that away on that side. And whilst we're here, we'll also take away the influence on the right eyebrow. Cool. And then holding down Alt, I'm going to go and click on that eyebrow there on the right, and then color that in like so. So now, and also it's probably a good idea, folks, it does automatically save, but I'm just going to press Control and S just to save, because of course Blender can always crash. Let's just go and double check these now. So that's all looking good. And there's no influence now going on apart from all the rest of that geometry. That's fine. I'm going to go back to the edit mode, Alt and H, click off. And that pretty much covers it for this part of the video, folks. We have managed to do the weight painting for the jaw, for the eyes, and also put the damp track in for the eyes as well, and then the eyelids and the eyebrows. And the next part of this, and the final part, is going to be creating controllers for our face rig, and that will be in the next part of the video. Okay, so for the final part of this video, we're going to be looking at creating controllers for our face, and we're going to do that with very basic shapes. So let's just go into object mode for the minute. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to hide these bones and just do a quick illustration of like what we're going to be doing. First of all, we're going to have this as the frame. We'll actually probably do this last. We're going to have like a frame that kind of contains everything. For the eyes, we're just going to have circles like so. For the jaw, we'll just have a rectangle like so. And for the eyelids, we'll have a rectangle. Eyebrows, we'll have a rectangle as well. So it's going to be really, really basic. Now you'll see online where people have done face rigs, you can start to do like elaborate things, like for example, the eyebrows. They might actually have something that looks like an eyebrow, something like that. And even like with the eyes, they may even sort of do something like this. And, you know, like the eyelids as well might be something like that, you know. So it's as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. For the teeth, you know, they might even do something like this, right? You know, that's indicative of a mouth like that. And then have something like a sort of shape like so. But it's not entirely necessary, you know, something that's really basic. We can color code it as well. So just like we did with the rest of the body. so it looks like, you can identify what's what quite quickly. Anyway, that's a quick explanation of what we're going to be doing. Let's just go and take this out. And I'm going to create some objects. So let's go back into that mode there. So I think, as I mentioned before, it's going to be circles and squares. So let's go Shift and A, Mesh. First of all, I'm going to go and create a plane. And this is going to be our reference for the shapes that I've mentioned. So for this, if I just go into edit mode now, I'm just going to take and press 3. I'm going to take that face out. I'm going to press X. I'm going to go only faces. So we're just left with the outlines. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into object mode and click off the square. I'm going to go Shift and A again. And this time round, I'm going to create a circle. And that's going to serve as a reference for other parts of the face as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go and press Alt and H to bring the armature back. And let's just concentrate on one of the bones for now. So we'll start off perhaps with the jawbone. So I'm going to go with the armature selected, go into pose mode. I'm going to go and click on the jaw. And now, if you're not in it already, you'll need to click on the bone, in the bone constraints here, bone properties. And where you need to be is you need to scroll down to where it says viewport display. Click on that. And we need to go to where it says custom. If I bring this out a little bit, custom object. Yeah. And we need to choose which object or shape we're going to use, which is the square in this instance. So I'm going to go and click on the eyedropper and then click on the square like so, right? And so from there, what we're going to do is we're going to need to just manipulate it a little bit. So first of all, we're going to need to rotate it. Now, you can't just rotate it on here. What you've got to do is you've got to use these underneath. So we've got translation, rotation. So first of all, we need to kind of find out which way you're going to rotate it. So this is going to be 90 degrees, like so. And scale-wise, again, we need to just have a bit of a play around with that because we don't want it that like a square. We want to have it something like narrower. And if we go into the front view, to probably give a better view there. So it needs to be kind of narrower. So obviously, get the position where you want it. So in front of that, in front of the jaw. And then what we can do is we can just sort of have a play around then and just kind of get it to the approximate size. Say something like that. You can also just key in the numbers, but I'm just going to sort of use these sliders just to create them. So that's what does that stand at? It stands at 0.3. Let's try 0.2. So that maybe even 0.1. Let's try that. Oops, 0.1. All right, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring it to the front. So I want the whole rig to be, say, around about this distance, probably where that bone is, or somewhere in between. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on that, and we're going to move that forward, and this is where the translate comes in. So on the y-axis, you can see there, I'm just going to take that all the way to, say, around about, maybe even perhaps just around about there. But again, we could always kind of move it around. So now we've got that part there. Let's also, whilst we're here, let's just create the overall framing for the face. So let's click on that bone. This is going to be the frame for all the controllers. So again, I'm going to select that shape there. And then I'm going to rotate that. It's going to need to be a little bit larger, of course. So let's go and rotate that all the way up to, say, something like that. Let's put it at 0. And we're going to scale this up. So let me just go into the front orthographic view and let's scale this up. Let's say something like that. Then the y-axis. And then on the z-axis on the translate, we'll move that just to the side. And then on the y, we're going to sort of move that up to, say, around about there. Okay. And obviously we need to just move that back a bit. Say just as in line with that other controller. So now we've got that there. And from there, what we're going to do is we're going to now select one of the eyes or the controllers for the pointers. And this, I'm going to make a circle. So I'm going to go and select, get it in view, select the eyedropper and click on the circle. And then again, just maneuver this into place. So first of all, size-wise, maybe make it a little bit smaller. So what's that? Maybe make it about, say, 0.3. Let's try that. 0.3 for the Y. And then I'm just going to move this up. So it's kind of roughly over the eye. Again, this is kind of where you can sort of just have a bit of a play around like so. Okay. So look at the side view. So that the rotation of that is a little bit off. Let's say go to, what was it, -90. And then I'm going to go and take that forward. So now that's kind of like in line with that. Do the same with the other eye. So I'm going to go and select that pointer there. And you can test these already, by the way. We'll dip more into that because we need to do a little bit of, we need to lock some of the coordinates off. But just to kind of test the eye, for example, we're going to just select that there. And then I can hit G and you'll see there that's working beautifully. All right. So I'm going to go back. Let's go and select the right eye. Same thing as before. Let's go and select that with the eyedropper. And again, just like before, I'm going to, what's that, -90. And again, I'm just going to go into the front orthographic view. That was, what was that, 0.3. Let's try that at 0.3. And then 0.3 again at the top. And then we're going to move this up. So let's go and, what's that in Z? Something like that. And then on the x-axis to say something like that. So that's pretty much in line. Could like move it back a little bit, but I think that's looking pretty good. Okay. So we've got the eyes sorted. Now we need to have a look at the eyelids. So I'm going to use that bone there. Oh, sorry. Before we get into doing that, I beg your pardon. I'm going to go and select the controller for both of these eyes. This is going to be, we'll probably do perhaps like an ellipse. Could use like another square, but we'll probably just do like an ellipse. So I'm just going to use the eyedropper tool and select that circle, and we shall rotate. So make that, is that going to be 0? And from there, if I go into the front orthographic view, we shall move that up. Like so. Size-wise, maybe about sort of 0.7. See what that looks like on the X and Y axis. And then scale-wise, I'm going to do something like that. and then just maneuver it. Maybe move that up to say something like that. Now we can just stop here a second just to illustrate what I mean in terms of the control. So we're in that mode at the moment. Let me just move that forward before I show you this next part. So I shall move, oh goodness, there we go. Let's just move that forward to there. There we go. Right, so what we're going to do is going to just come out of this briefly, going to say edit mode. It'll take it back to the bones, which is fine. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to basically have these bound to this. So they're basically offset from this. So basically they'll be the children of this, or in the hierarchy, they will follow this. It's really simple to do. I'm just going to go and select that bone there, shift and select that, and then shift and select that. And then we're going to press Control and P and keep offset, right? And then you've got some relationship lines going on there. Now, if we go back into pose mode, we'll see that the eyes, so I'm going to say select one. So like before, you'll see those are all working independently like so. Yeah, that's all nice. However, when we click on this one here and hit G, you'll see they both move together, which is really cool. All right. Let me just press A, and let's just go Alt G, Alt R, just so everything's back in its place. And let's now move on to the eyelids. So let's go and select that bone there. And the eyelids are just going to be like sort of rectangular. So we'll go to the custom shape, click on the eyedropper, click on that square. And then again, just like the, excuse me, the rest of it, we're going to go into, let's go -90 on that. And we'll move that forward. We'll move it up, should I say, and then forward like so. Let's go and have a look now at the shape. So we need to play around with the scale on this. So I'm just going to move that in a little bit and move that like something like that. What's that, about 0.1 I had it at, 0.1. That looks about right. And then just sort of position it really. So we can go, where are we? So we'll go something like, move it to there, move it to say something like that. That's great. So that'll be our eyebrow. We'll go and select the other bone, do the same thing again. Eyedropper, select the shape. Just change that to -90. Oops, minus. And we'll take that forward with the rest of the group. Cool. And again, what I'm going to do is what was the, that was 0.5 and 0.1. Let's try that then. We'll go 0.5, 0.1, and then we'll shift that up in the translation. So it's parallel with that. Something like that. And then we can even just perhaps just move it in to say something like that. And that's not looking too shabby. All right, and then we've got the eyebrows to do. Again, this will be another rectangle. Go and select the square. -90. And we'll take that forward. Okay. And oops, let's go right to the front. And we'll probably make it the same as before. So what I'll do is that's 0.5, make that 0.1, make it the same as the eyelid. And then we'll just shift that up. And then just shift it across just so it's kind of parallel. And again, not looking too bad. I might just move it in just a wee bit. So, oops, something like that. Can be a bit tricky. And then we'll just do that other eyebrow, like so. So same as before, we'll just go eyedropper, select that, make that -90. We'll take that to the rest of the group. And that will be 0.1. Go around to the front view, zoom in, and then we'll take that up to say there. Oops, something like that, and then we'll just move that in like so, and that's not looking too bad. Might be tempted just to adjust this a little bit, perhaps, and squeeze that. Perhaps doesn't need to be that long. And I'll just move that down. To say something like that, and move it across, say to there. Excellent. And then we can go and test it out. So we can have a look, certainly at the eyes and the eyebrow. So I'm going to click on the eyebrow, move that. That's all looking good. And G on that. That's great. The eyelid and the other eyelid as well. And also we've got the eyes. We've already tested those, but we'll do those again. Same thing with that. Just undo those. And then we've got the controller for all of the, or all, but both of the eyes, should I say. Back and forth, that's all great. And then we've got the jaw. Now, this is where we're going to start putting in some restrictions. So at the moment, we've got the jaw. Now, it will be controlling if I hit G, but we've got an issue, which is that it's not moving the way we want it to. Now, we could probably get it to rotate if I hit R, which is fine. But really what we want to do is we want to be able to hit G and rotate it that way. So in order to do that, it's actually quite simple to do. So for the jaw, what we're going to do is we're going to lock off some of the points on the X, Y, and Z. Let's go to press N and look here. We'll see that we've got the X, well, W and X, Y, and Z. If we now lock these off here, the Y and the Z, and then move it, hit G, it's actually moving now the way that we want it to move. And that's because if we have it on all the axes, it'll just kind of move all over the place. Now we're going to do a similar thing also with the, not so much with the eyes are fine, but the eyebrows themselves. So what we're going to do is a similar thing with the eyebrow selected. Now, as it stands at the moment, it's, if I hit G, you can see it's kind of moving around all over the place and also coming out into the front. We don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Control and Z, take that back. We just want to restrict it. All we need it to do really is just go up and down. So you can see if we go into the front orthographic view, really we want to kind of have it going up and down the Z axis. We don't need X and we don't need Y. So what I'm going to do here is on the X and on the Y, we're just simply going to lock it, just so Z is there. And then if we hit G, we can now kind of move that up. We still need to restrict it on the location as well. So again, I'm going to go X and Y on the location. Now if I hit G, you'll see there it just moves up and down completely. It doesn't actually shift anywhere else. So that's looking really good. And then we do the same with the other eyelid. Same thing again. So just like before, we don't want it to go on the X or the Y, just the Z. So I'll lock those off. And then also lock it off on the rotation as well. And then if I move that, hit G, you'll see that doesn't go anywhere else apart from just up and down. Similar thing with the eyebrows as well. So I'm going to click on the eyebrow. Again, X and Y, leave the Z, X and Y on here. And then if I move that, hit G, that just moves up and down. Same thing with the other one as well. Lock it off on there, X and Y, and then X and Y on there as well. And hit G, and that moves up and down. So we are set. We've got pretty much the eyebrows done. We've got the eyelids done. We've got the eyes done. We've got the controllers. And we've got our jaw done. I'm just going to go A, press Alt-G, Alt-R, so it brings everything back into place. And the only other thing we need to check now is whether or not this is parented to the head. Start again. Whether or not this is parented to the head. So we'll probably find out that it isn't. So let's go and click on the head bone itself, and you'll see when we move it back, it isn't. Yeah, so we need to make some adjustments there as well. So really simple to do. All we need to do is go back into the edit mode. So let's come out of that. Let's go back into the edit. And essentially, we just need to reparent these back to the head. So I'm going to, first of all, select the eyebrows, eyelids, and the eyeballs, and also our controllers, and these, and also the jaw. And we're going to, first of all, parent that to the controller, like so. And I'm going to press Control and P and keep offset. And then from there, I'm going to click on the controller there and Shift and click on the head. Press Control and P and keep offset. So with any luck, if we go back now to pose mode, and I know we've got some relationship lines going on there. You don't need to. If it bothers you, you can just go and take them out. Go to the where are we? Relationship lines. If it's like interfering with things. With any luck now, if I go and select that in pose mode and hit R, the entire thing should move back like so. I'm not quite sure why the that is it's controlling the bone. So we're just going to go back and have a look at that, because that should actually be connected there. So I'm just going to go back to there, or back to the edit mode, and turn the relationship lines back on. All right, so somehow that's got parented to that. I don't know how that's happened. It should actually be parented to the main controller. So what I'm going to do there is going to go and select that pole, Shift and select the main controller, and press Control and P and keep offset. And that'll change that back to there. Not a problem. Now let's just go and check that again with our head. I'm going to hit R to rotate, and that is working beautifully. That's exactly what we want to see. Now, a couple of last things before we close this video. We need to change the colors with the face. So what I'm going to do is, with the controllers, at the moment we've got some colors on there, but we need to change them. So for the mouth, we've got that set to the color there that's on the neck. So if we go through to the bone colors, I'm just going to check on that, and let's make that a different color. Let's make it something like yellow. And this one here, we could keep that as is, but we'll change this one to perhaps to green with the eyes. Let's go green, like so. And for the eyelids, we will make these perhaps something like, where are we? Orange. Same thing with that. And then for the eyebrows, we'll make them, what should we do? We'll go for blue. How about that? Okay. So we've got all our different colors. It's good to kind of have different colors because it makes sure that you're selecting the right ones and it's kind of grouped. So that's that done. And then the only thing to really check is that that all of the rig, everything, the body and the face are all being controlled by our controller. So we'll just go and hit G, move that around, and that looks fantastic. I think we've got, what have we got here? We've got the poles for the knees. They seem to be not attached. So we'll just go back to our edit, click on there, Control and P, keep offset. That's all good. Let's go back to pose. Let's just check that again. Hit G. Fantastic. That's grand. So we are effectively finished. If you managed to kind of get this far in the video, well done, folks. You should be very proud of yourself. And, you know, you've done some really good work there. It's quite a long video, but we got through it. And hopefully, you know, this is going to pave the way for, you know, doing your own creations, creating your own characters. And I really look forward to seeing what you produce in the future. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. And of course, if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and like if you're watching on YouTube, and give us a comment. Until next time, folks, I shall see you in the next video. Okay, take care. Bye for now.